4 a.m., January 4th, 2026, Lipetsk, Russia. A blast. Russia's largest military battery manufacturing plant, Energia, was on fire. Smoke rose hundreds of feet into the air as fires raged out of control. Russian authorities immediately declared a red-level UAV threat across the Lipetsk region, expanding drone alerts nationwide. This was the fifth strike on the facility, but this time, Ukraine didn't just hit it across the border, they broke in. Baba Yaga drones and their swarm were already operating deep inside Russian territory. The factory wasn't hit, it was set on fire from within. The infiltration. Before dawn over the frozen plains, a dusty civilian delivery truck pulled over on a secondary road just 15 miles outside the city of Yelets. To any patrol, it looked routine. Inside, however, was the most expensive buy one, get five free deal in military history. Meet the Baba Yaga, a 120-pound carbon fiber hexacopter with motors that growl like a vintage Harley-Davidson. For this mission, they were heavy-lift motherships, each cradling 5 smaller FPV drones under its frame. That's 4 mothers and 20 children, a swarm designed to ensure that if one is jammed, the rest keep coming. The target, the Energia plant, the gigafactory of the Russian military. This facility produces the high-end lithium-ion batteries that power Iskander missiles, Kinjal hypersonic systems, and UMPK-guided bombs. Russia's defense was simple: keep the factory 155 miles from the front line and surround it with $1 billion worth of Pantsir and Tor air defense systems. On paper, it was an untouchable fortress. The loophole. A massive blizzard was screaming through the region with 40-mile-per-hour winds and snow. Russian radar operators, likely huddled near heaters, assumed nothing could fly. For the Ukrainian team, however, the blizzard was a free invisibility cloak. The wind swallowed motor sounds, and the snow cluttered optical sensors. This was a one-way trip, a gamble to sacrifice a few $100,000 in drones to compromise a production line worth hundreds of millions. With coordinates locked into anti-jamming GPS and the mesh network synced, the swarm lifted off, vanishing into the whiteout just 60 feet off the deck. The control, a self-healing brain. In a Ukrainian control van 15 miles away, operators watched with surgical focus. They weren't using Starlink or traditional radio, too easy to jam. Instead, they used a proprietary mesh network, a high-speed game of telephone among robots. If one mother drone was jammed, her sisters instantly relayed data. It was a self-healing brain in a blizzard. The large carbon fiber blade sounded like a beat-up 1970s tractor chugging through a field. To locals, it was just old Ivan working the night shift. Nobody looked up. The decoy, feeding Russian ego. Let's talk about the bouncers, the Pantsir S-1 and Tor M-1 air defense systems. An hour before the real attack, Russian radars caught something. They engaged 4 long-range Ukrainian decoys, cheap plywood gliders with lawnmower engines. Russian crews celebrated, clinking vodka glasses and posting on Telegram about neutralizing the threat. They just used million-dollar missiles to swat $500 kites. This was the genius detail. By feeding the Russian ego with loud, cheap decoys, Ukraine effectively blinded the bouncers. Convinced the sky was clear, Russian defenders relaxed, unaware the invisible swarm was now less than 5 miles from the factory gates. The saturation attack. 5 miles out, the 4 Baba Yagas slowed, hovering at 400 feet as high-altitude signal relays. Then the drop. Within 60 seconds, 20 FPV drones detached. They fanned out, 5 from each cardinal direction, a saturation profile designed to overwhelm even the best Russian AI fire control computers. It was like trying to catch 20 tennis balls thrown at your head at once. Phase 1. Neutralize the lights. The first wave, about 8 drones, dove for the main electrical substation. One impacted the primary transformer. A brilliant blue arc of 110,000 volts lit the sky, and the entire sector went black. Perimeter lights died, heating systems cut out. Crucially, Russian radar units lost primary power and waited for backup generators to chug to life. Inside the factory, chaos erupted. Security teams sprinted through dark hallways, radios filled with static. Outside, Pantsir crews screamed as their thermal screens flooded with clutter from the substation fire. Phase 2. The Russian response. Panic and poor math. The Russian response was desperate spray and pray. Pantsir cannons opened up, tearing the sky with glowing red tracers. One operator, fueled by adrenaline, launched a 57 E6 surface-to-air missile. It struck one Baba Yaga, sending the 120-pound mothership spiraling down in a fireball. Russian cannons swatted about 6 or 7 FPVs from the air. To the Russians, this felt like victory. Their telegram channels likely drafted headlines, "Massive UAV attack repelled, strategic facility safe." But the cold hard math told a different story. Russia traded a $1 million missile and thousands of specialized ammo for about $15,000 worth of Ukrainian plastic and motors. Worse, they only hit the bouncers. The scorecard read 3 Baba Yagas still hovering, 13 FPV children already inside the perimeter, staring down the ventilation shafts of the lithium-ion production hall. Phase 4, the final gauntlet. The 13 remaining FPV drones screamed toward the factory. A Russian electronic warfare truck flooded the airwaves with white noise. On Ukrainian screens, video feeds turned to static. 4 FPVs lost their link and spiraled into snowdrifts. But the 3 hovering Baba Yagas weren't just watching, they were working. One operator boosted the signal, punching through the jamming like a sledgehammer through glass. The static cleared. 9 FPV drones regained their vision just 100 feet from the workshop roofs. The Russian defense woke up angry. A Pantsir vehicle roared into a new position, its cannons sweeping 180 degrees. A wall of red lead filled the air. 2 more drones vaporized mid-air. The remaining 7 weaved through tracers. One punched through a workshop skylight, another slammed into a loading dock. Multiple high-intensity thermal events erupted across auxiliary buildings. Lithium-ion cells began their terrifying thermal runaway. Phase 5, the mothership's last stand. The Russians knew the big mothers were still out there. A Pantsir operator locked onto the lead Baba Yaga and launched 2 57 E6 missiles in rapid succession. The first was a direct hit, the lead drone erased in an orange fireball. The second mothership tried to dive, but a 30mm round clipped its rear rotor. It spun violently, plunging toward the ground. The Russian garrison cheered, but they cheered too soon. The Ukrainian pilot of the spinning Baba Yaga didn't try to save it. He used the spin, angling thrust to turn the drone into a high-speed spiraling kinetic projectile. Like a dying star, it slammed directly into the Pantsir S-1 vehicle that it just shot. The $12 million air defense system was instantly structurally compromised, now a burning heap of scrap metal. Phase 5, the last Baba Yaga's Hail Mary. One last Baba Yaga remained. The Russian garrison turned every searchlight, every AK-12, every machine gun toward it, a literal gauntlet of fire. The pilot dove to 40 feet, screaming across the factory floor at 80 miles per hour. Billets pinged off the carbon fiber frame. A man-portable missile launched from a rooftop, missing by less than 3 feet. In a final adrenaline-fueled Hail Mary, the pilot aimed for the massive ventilation intake of the main lithium production hall. The 120-pound mothership didn't just hit the wall, it went inside. A split second later, a significant thermal event of such magnitude that it blew the heavy steel industrial doors off their hinges. The main production line, where the heart of Russia's Iskander missiles is born, was now ground zero for a chemical fire hotter than the surface of some planets. The primary production line wasn't just scorched, it was structurally compromised, its steel foundation warped. You don't fix that with a coat of paint. That factory is effectively disabled for the foreseeable future. The strategic domino effect. Every Iskander missile, every Kinjal hypersonic round, every UMPK-guided bomb needs a high-end military-grade military battery to breathe. Without that heartbeat from Yelets, those multi-million-dollar missiles are basically just 5-ton lawn ornaments. By unplugging Energia, Ukraine created a massive bottleneck in the entire Russian precision missile supply chain. The Kremlin spent the morning claiming their invincible air defense neutralized every threat. Then, open-source intelligence sleuths posted satellite photos. When your minor incident produces a black plume visible from space, your propaganda starts to look thin. This strike exposed a massive hole in the Iron Dome Moscow promised its people. If Ukraine can sneak a fleet of Baba Yagas 155 miles deep into the Russian rear during a blizzard, where else can they go? The lesson of the day? Don't ever underestimate an underdog with a civilian truck, a few Baba Yagas, and a lot of creative engineering.